waiting on you. I'll be live.
For real? Oh. I was just wanting to update for you. Just wait here for me.
Mic test, can you guys hear me? Mic test, can you guys hear me? Mic test, can you guys hear me? 1 2 1 2. Mic test, can you guys hear me? 1 2 1 2. Okay. Perfecto. Okay guys, so we can just get started. What am I looking for? Python. Okay, perfect. I hope you guys do have PyCharm installed. So what we'll be doing now is we'll be creating a new project. Okay, so I lost a lot of my stuff, or not lost, but I decided to refresh the machine from yesterday. So what we'll do is let's go to our development folder, and we'll create a new folder. Or do I still have it somewhere here? Oh yeah, so we'll create a new folder called week 7. Okay, so everything that we'll create will be under week 7. So we'll save that in week 7 and select that as pure Python, and then your env project env should be whatever your system's Python is basically. So if we click create or open, then here is our folder. Okay, so here's our folder, and what we need to do now is in this folder we just need to right click and create a new Python file. So we're creating a new Python file. This file we can call it lesson 2, lesson2.py. If you're on VS Code, it's lesson2.py, and on PyCharm you can just say lesson2, and it will automatically know that's a Python file. It will add .py for you. Cool, I hope we're still together. Yes, it's a new project in PyCharm. Okay, cool. So we'll create a new project, right? So now we're on lesson 2. So lesson 1, remember, was setting up Python. So we're not focusing on that because I done a video particularly for that. So that's a separate video. So now what we want to do is in our lesson2.py we'll be going. Oh, okay. Let me try and open my TikTok chats on the side here. We don't need that. Don't need that as well. Yo. All right. So we'll be doing strings, right? Lesson 2 is based on strings. I need YouTube chat as well on the side here. Where is it? So I'm just opening up my chats and then we can get started. So I can see. Okay, that's that. TikTok. Oh, so this was said. Okay, I only see. Oh, I don't see. Hi Sim. Will my Python have any issues? Include that py. My PC needs permissions, and I bought this PC from someone. You need to add .py because it needs to know that it's a Python file. So that's an extension to say you're working on a Python file. So that is needed. Unless you're on PyCharm, it'll automatically add that .py for you. Kia codes, what are we doing today? We are working on week 7. Try and go through. We might finish all the lessons, and then if not, we will move on to. We will, if we can, then from tomorrow. Excuse me. Then from tomorrow we can do Django, and yeah, see what we can do. Nat, I saw you at Grace in Pinville. Oh, why didn't you come say hi? Why didn't you come say hi? Okay, let's get started. So, um, by now we should know that what we did in JavaScript won't be too different to what we'll be doing here in Python. So it's basically the same thing as what we've done in JavaScript is the same as what we're going to be doing in Python. So the main idea is just understanding the new syntax when it comes to Python, but also just know that things are still the same. A variable is still a variable. String is still a string. Boolean is still a boolean. It's all the same. It's just how it's written in the different languages. Okay, no problem, Diswa. Okay, so we'll be working with strings. So what are strings? Strings are text basically in Python. So these you put them in inside quotes. So the way you define a string is in double quotes or in single quotes. So let's quickly just create one string. We'll have one of name equal to Simphiwe in double quotes. So this is a string because we've added it in double quotes. Then we've defined it as string. But now we can also add a string in single quotes. So we can have one variable called message, which is equal to single quotes hello there. Why do I still have this automatic thing? Okay, hello there. Cool. So you see, we were able to define a string. Thank you so much, Garba, for the hot me. We're able to define a string using both double quotes as well as the single quotes, but they do have their own different ways as to how you could use them, because you do use a double string when you wanna add single quote strings or single quotes within your double quotes, or you use a single quote if you wanna add double quotes within your single quotes. So what I mean by that is, so we've got this name Simphiwe and message hello there. Let's just print these two. So to print, same as Piwe, young man, how are you? So the same way we do it in JavaScript, we do console.log. In Python, we say print, and we'll print the name, and we'll also print print the message. So we print the name and print the message. Then you can just click on run at the top there, which will run the file, and you should see in your terminal you've printed the two variables you've defined up there. Thank you so much, Garabo, for the money gun. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I really appreciate you. I am Falcon. I think we will get to that as well, because if we're jumping straight to Django and stuff, it's good to understand that as well. Okay, cool. So I hope we all were able to print, right? So we got Simphiwe and hello there. So this works the same way. Like I said, we have single quotes and double quotes. That's how you define a string. Okay, so let's just create different strings. So we can just remove that, or rather comment these two out. To comment these two out, you can highlight them and then press on. Okay, Nat, no problem. Just try and finish and catch up. So you can hover and then press Command Shift or Command and forward slash, or in Windows you press Control and forward slash. Forward slash is the key that has your question mark as well. So you can just press hover over, then press Command and forward slash, and it will comment out that. So the reason we're commenting that out is because we're gonna keep all the code we're writing in the same file, and we don't want to keep printing everything together. So once we're done with printing something, we'll just comment it out and keep it there. So now let's work with let's have different. Do you have a YouTube channel? Because yes, I do have a YouTube channel. The channels are the handles are exactly the same. So here we'll have different ways to create strings. Okay, so we'll have first name. So in Python, it's preferred to create your variables using, if you've got multiple words in a variable, separate them using underscore. Camel case still works where you have first name like that, but I think it's more preferred to have it like this as well. But you just decide how you want to do it. Python is very flexible in that, and we'll just have a first name equal to Simphiwe, and then we'll have a last name, last underscore name, equal to Radebe. Okay, then we'll have the city, and the city will be equal to this one. We'll just use single quotes and we'll just say Johannesburg, and we'll have a greeting, and this greeting will be equal to welcome to Python. Okay, so this is just us showing different ways to create our strings. We've got our double quotes, single quotes, and our different variable names. Okay, so we can just print all of these and just see what we get. So we can print our first name and then print our last name. Then we can also print our city and print the greeting. So like I said, if you remember, how to get the bottom window to show, it will just show as soon as you click on play. I don't know if you see where my, let me try and make my arrow big. So you see where my cursor is right now, where the big it is, you'll see the play button there. So if you click on that play button, that window will show up at the bottom. So when I click on the play button, you'll see how it shows up that I've got, or it shows the print statements, which is Simphiwe Radebe Johannesburg, welcome to Python. So that was just us showing this, but now let's just see when do we use which type of code. So since we've got single and double quotes, when is the best way to actually use single quotes, and when is the best time to use double quotes? So let's just comment out our print statements. So like again, you just hover over them and you just press control / or command / cool, so that we don't print it out again when we run the rest. So the next part is when to use which quotes. Okay, so now we want to see when is the best time to use certain quotes, like the single quotes or the double quotes. So here we'll have a sentence, and this sentence will say this one will use single quotes. So in this sentence we'll say, she said Python is great, exclamation mark. Now since she said Python is great, she's saying something, therefore it needs to be in double quotes, right? So when you can use single quotes is when you know your string has double quotes in it, right? So instead of having to escape, thank you so much Sandro for the hot me, instead of having to escape your, there's escape characters which we'll also get into, but you can just use single quotes and then you can include double quotes in the string of single quotes. So this will be considered as the end of the string, and this will be considered as the start of the string, but everything else inside of this will be its own string. It will not be considered as this is now a string. So the moment we now maybe add what is it, how did I do it? Oh yeah, so if we now add double quotes outside of that, you see we do have some error. Or if we end it with just double quotes, so we have an error because it started with a single quote and it needs to end with a single quote. So anything inside will be considered a string. So we can just print that. We print sentence, and let's run it and see if we get it as we want it. So here we go. After printing, we see our double quotes is also printed. It's not considered as a syntax. It's now part of the string itself. Do we get that part? Just let me know if you guys understand. Hope we're still together. But cool, let's continue, guys. Will let me know if you're stuck anywhere. The next part is the double quotes. So we'll have a contraction here. So this is just a variable name, guys. You don't have to name it exactly like this. This is just a variable name. Even if you said sentence again, or if you said new sentence or something like that. But here we'll use double quotes because we know that our text will contain single quotes, right? So the reason I'm saying will contain single quotes is because we're gonna have don't worry, it's easy. So since we including text that contain a single quote, we wrap our entire string in double quotes. That way we are able to add our single quotes inside here. But the moment we now add double quotes in here, you'll see how it doesn't consider the whole thing a string. It stops here and then only starts here. Now this is thinking it's syntax. So it now creates an error. So to do that, for where you want to add double quotes again in the same double quotes, would be doing escape characters, which we'll get to now, but we're just showing this at the moment. So if we print this, print contraction, let's run it. So you'll see we do get our single quotes displaying, so it is getting outputted properly. Yeah, so that's when you can use the two different quotes. Your single quotes is when you know you want to add double quotes inside, or you use your double quotes when you know you've got single quote words or characters that you will be using inside your string. But there's a way to escape that. But cool. If there's no questions, let's move on to the next part. This is multi-line strings. So when do we use it looks like the backend will be Django, so yes, we'll be focusing a lot on Django, but obviously you need a Python fundamental to at least understand what's what. So that's the reason why they gave the lessons of the Python, and then we'll go through what are more on Django side. Cool. So now we'll be doing multi-line strings. I believe there's no questions. If there are, please just shout so we can address them quickly. But now we'll be doing multi-line strings, okay? So why do we use multi-line strings? This is when we want, where we know we've got text that will be, we've got long text, right? Because you don't want to have, let's say we've got a story, and you don't want to have a story that will go on all the whole story in one particular line. You want it to be split up, obviously for readability, in different lines, right? But instead of it doing like this, where you've got this bracket that it just created for us, if let's say we remove that bracket, now you'll see we'll have errors. So we can use multi-line strings where we can just add a story equals to triple double quotes. The Last Jedi, what are we building? We are learning Python. We're learning Python. So we use triple double quotes. This will indicate that you are now using multi-line string. So you're creating a multi-line string. So what does that mean? You can now say once upon a time, and you can click on enter and have your text all in multi-lines instead of one line. We'll just say there was a programmer who learned Python. So now you've got text that's all in different lines, and you can have it as long as you want because it's multiple lines. So this is when you use your multi-line string. So it's triple quotes, your double quotes, right? So it's triple double quotes, and that's how you do your multi-line string. So we can print this, print story, and let's see. So you'll see we do get it formatted exactly how we've put it in our multiple lines, right? So we've got once upon a time, comma, which is exactly how we've outputted it, okay? So that's how we work with our multi-line strings. So are there any questions? Doing is finding a new variable. We'll have this variable called word. Can you do menu selection? In what, like, where do you want to do a menu selection? A website? So we'll do a word called Python, okay? We'll do a word called Python, and what we want to see is how many characters are in this string. So a way you can look at a string is, think of a string as a list, okay? So remember in Django, look, now I'm saying Django, in JavaScript we had an array which was like a list, right? So if I could just show, ooh, what happened there? Thank you so much for subscribing, Garabo. Appreciate you. Cool. So if we look at this, right? There's this word Python, okay? So uh, okay, I guess that's how it is. When you look at this, this is now a list, okay? So since it's a list, you need to understand that it's indexed, okay? Yes, Last Trade, I can do that. So you need to understand that it's indexed. So for you to access each of them, right? You think of this as um index. So you'd say this is 0, that's 1, that's 2, 3. Oh, that 3 is weird. 3, 4. Think of, like I said, your string is like your list. So this is your indexing of the string. So this is how you would get certain elements within the string. But obviously, since we said it's a list, we are able to figure out how many characters do we have in the string. So for us to do that, all we need to do is we need to use a function called len. Len stands for length. Len stands for length. Len. It stands for length. So all it takes in is an input, and it will output a value, and the value being how many letters are in the character you have passed in. So the character or the variable we want to check is the word. Okay, so if we check word and we click on run, it prints out 6. The reason it prints out 6 is because we've got 6 characters a different way. Maybe there's also spaces included. So this will show you. We can create another variable called message. Create another variable called message, and this message will be hello world. You'll have a space in between hello and world, right? Do I have message defined at the top? Oh, I do. Okay, so you'll have message. So if you see this yellow line, if you see this as well, just know you've redeclared something you have at the top, so you can just comment that one out as well, and then we'll just focus on this one here. Or you can have this as new message, rather new underscore message, so that it does not conflict with the other variable at the top. So for us to now check here, what we'll do is we'll print the length of new message. So now when we look at this, someone would think that this new message would be 1 2 3 4 5 6, skip the space, 7 8 9 10 11 12. Someone would think that we'd get 12 characters from this, but a space is also considered a character as part of the string. So the number we should be getting is 13 because the space is also part of the string. So just be aware of that the next time you use this. Spaces are included in the count as well when you are checking the count of a string as well. Are there any questions related to string length? If there are no questions, let's just comment that out and move on to accessing characters. Okay, so like they are indexed from 0. Remember, we count from 0, so indexing starts from 0. So to access certain characters, all you do is you'd print and write the word, and you'd access it using square brackets. So the same way we did it in JavaScript, where we were accessing a certain list, a certain item in a list, we are doing the same thing here using square brackets, and we will add the index we are looking for. So obviously to get the first letter in a string, the index would be 0, right? So that's the first letter, meaning the first item in the list. So we'd use index 0 to get that. We use index 0 and TikTok. So if you're looking for the fifth letter in, so if you're looking for the fifth letter in a string, just -1 and you'd be looking at index number 4. That's how you'll remember it. So if we're looking for the second character in a string, with just -1, which would be 1, 2 minus 1 being 1, and we have index number 1. Therefore, we should get R as our second one. Oh, not debug. We should get R. Oh, Y. Why am I saying R? Y, because that's PY. Y as our second character. Is there any questions related to this? Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Okay, cool. No questions. So there's also another way where you can actually count backwards. So instead of using 0 1, you can get the last character, second last, so on and so forth. So let's see how we can do that. So we can do print again, and we can say print word, and to get the last character, we do -1. So -1, basically what will happen, it will start counting from -1 backwards, right? So an example is, let's do that same thing and show you how it would look. So how it would look is we will have let's say we want the last character, right? So that would be -2, -3, -4, so on and so forth. So if you want the last character, use index -1, but now you need to know it now goes backwards. So it will be -2, -3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. That's how it will move. Okay, so to get the last character to be -1, so when we click on play, we need to get back n. So n is our last character, right? So here we go, we got n, we got back. What if I used anaconda? Someone asked, if the developer, is it compulsory to use Python? If I do JavaScript, is it okay? Yes, they do have their own strengths and weaknesses. So it depends on what you want to use it for. As an example, here in backend, we'll be using Python because we're using Django as our backend service, right? So to create our APIs, we'll be using Django REST framework, and Django is a Python framework. So that's why we are using Django. If maybe you wanted to use React, where you have APIs in React, then you can use JavaScript, but it all depends on what you're doing. So that let's have escape characters. So we'll have escape characters here, and escape characters, we've got different characters. So we've got your tabs, you've got quotes inside of a quote, you've got new lines, etc. So let me just show you. This is for a new line. Okay, so if you wanted to add a new line in a string, you'd use this escape character. So if we say print, and we have first line, then if you want to escape, meaning now add, or if you want to make it on a new line, you do /n and write the next string. We have a string name, and we have /t name, and we have /t, and we can put the name John as an example. So you see what that done? That added a tab in between. So a tab spacing in between name and John. So that's a tab spacing in between those two. Then the next one, we can also use the first quote and a / behind the second one, /. So now that escapes it to allow this to have its own single quotes. Are there any questions? Let's just run this and see what we get. So you see how we get single quotes, but see how this is more of a bit longer, right? So what we could have just done, if we were using single quotes, we use single quotes. You don't even have to escape, and just like that, you could still does the exact same thing. Hence why I showed you guys the single quotes at the start. So instead of having to escape, you can just use single quotes or double quotes depending on your needs. Any questions? Frozen, right? Am I? Yo, please don't tell me I'm frozen. Where's this now? Chat. Okay, cool. Let's comment out these that we just done and move on to, wait, are there no questions, right? So we can move on to lesson 3. Are there no questions? Okay, let's comment this out and we'll move on to lesson 3, I guess. Okay, so let's just create a new file. This will be we'll call it string practice, okay? String_practice. So this is just for us to put whatever we just learned into practice. So what we'll do here, let's add my name, a variable called my name. So my name is Simphiwe Radebe, and then we'll add 22. Then we'll add my city. So what we're doing here, we just want to practice what we just learned. So let's have my city, and it's Johannesburg. All right, and then cool. So let's print out the information about me. Give the developer, I'm not too sure. I won't lie to you, I'm not too sure if we'll have access to those. So first, let's print just something to show that we're showing information about me. So we can just say print double quotes about me, and then after that we can print my name. We can print my name, not my age. Print my name. Then we can print a sentence, right? So what we want to print is we want to print so we keep a minute each time. This is just so we're not, the reason we're omitting or we printing out is because we don't want to print out the whole thing. You could have it there, you could have them uncommented out. It's just in your command line, it's gonna print out every single thing. So that's the reason why I keep hiding it or commenting it out. So what we want to print here is a quick string to show a quick string basically to, and then we can add my years. So there's something we would have, please zoom in, is, oh sorry guys, how was it this side? Oh yeah, so we've added about me, then I'm printing my name. So about me, after about me, my name will show up, right? And then the next thing I want to print is my age. So here it says unexpected types. So what you can do here is you can convert this integer into a string. And how do you do that? You have str and wrap your integer in str. So str basically means make this a string, so it will convert this to a string object. If it's a boolean or whatever, it will just convert it to a string object. Plus my city, right? String str, and what we want to str is we want to get the length, right? Remember, we want to get the length of my name, so we put len for length and we put my name. So this will get the length of my name and return a integer. Then that integer will be converted into a string. Do you all understand this part? So what we're doing is we're getting my name first, then after getting my name, which will be converted into integer, or which will be an integer, we convert it into a string. And then after that we can to this. Please do shout now if you have a question. Please do shout. So let's move on to the file again. We'll be in the same folder of week 7. So I don't want to import that, right? First underscore name. And our first name will be Simphiwe. Oh, I need to zoom in. And then we'll have a last name. And this last name will be Radebe. Alright? Then we can have a variable called full name. Now, we obviously don't want to write the full name by writing Simphiwe then Radebe, but we already have our first name and last name. So how do we now add these two together instead of us having to write them together, right? So all you can do is you can have full name equal to first name. You can have full name equal to first name plus will be put together. So let's actually see how that looks. So let's print full name, not print. So let's print full name and click on play. So you see how Simphiwe and Radebe are put together. So we need to have a space in between them. So the way we do that, all you can do is you just say plus and you plus a space. So not just like that, but make sure there's a space character there. Then when we run this again, we should have our first and last name printed with the space between them. So that's concatenation. That's you adding or joining strings together. Okay. Now the next part is us adding to an existing string. So let's say we have a string and we want to add onto that string, right? So how do we do that? So for us to do, okay, we'll only add hello. So let's say now further down in your program you want to add something to this particular string without having enables allows you to an existing string. Are there any questions? This is how you add to an existing string. Maybe we can write a comment here. Add to existing strings. Okay. If there are no questions, the next part will be repeating strings. Okay. So how do we now repeat strings? So let's write it. Repeating strings. Cool. So we'll have repeating strings here, right? So what we do here is, let's say we've got a word laugh equal to ha, but ha is not, obviously you go ha 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 ha, right? So we have 5 ha's. So all you can do, or what you can do here, is you can use a times to actually multiply the ha's that you have. So you can just say multiply by 5, and if you print laugh, it needs to have ha 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 ha. So let's see if we run this. You see how we have ha 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 ha. So it times it by 5. So that's how you've got repeating strings. You can do the same thing with maybe like a line. So let's say you have a line equal to a dash, and this dash you want it times 20 times. Instead of having to actually write dash 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 like that, you can just say dash times 20, and if you print it, if you print line, you'll have those dashes there. Do we understand this part together? Basically, this is your repeating strings. You use a times or as asterisk to actually times your strings. Yeah. Are there any questions? If not, we can move on to the next part. Any questions? If not, you can feel free to just pop a comment and I will assist you now. Okay, let's move on to the next part. The next part is us now using useful string methods. Okay, so you can just have a hashtag useful string methods. So these are string methods that you could use in your programs. So the first one we'll have is changing case. So changing case means uppercase, lowercase, capitalize, or title, etc. So let's have an example. So we'll have a text here, and our text will be hello world. Okay, so we have a text called hello world, and let's say we wanted to uppercase the entire hello world. We want everything to be in uppercase. Instead of us having to come here and actually type it uppercase, there's Python functions or methods that allow us to do that programmatically. Okay, so for us to do that, all we do is we say print, and what we'll have is text dot upper. Text dot upper. So dot upper is basically a method within this Python which allows you to turn strings into uppercase. So if we had to print this, we get hello world in caps. So if you, as you can see in the output there, our hello world is capitalized, even though we've got it as single or as uppercase for or capitalizations for the first word letter and lowercase for the rest. So this dot upper will turn it all into uppercase, but it also has a dot lower. So let's say everything, we want everything to be lower, so you can say print text dot lower, which will make everything lowercase. So if we run that, you'll see now the H and W, which were upper in our original text, have now turned into lowercase. So this is the lower function. And now you've got dot title as well. So you can print text dot title, and this will just make your H and W, which we already did, but it will make your H and W capitalized. That's what the title does. And you got dot capitalize. So what dot capitalize does, it will only capitalize the first word in your sentence. So if we run this, we should get only H as capitalized. So these are the different string methods that you can use to actually, bro, this is not everyone thinks it's easy, so others are still learning. Okay, cool. So this is you capitalizing the first letter in the string itself. That's what the dot capitalize does. Okay, so I hope there's no questions. If there are, just do let me know. But let's move on to the next part. There's another one we can use to remove empty or extra spaces in our string, right? So let's say let's write it, removing extra spaces. Okay, so it's just removing extra spaces. So let's say we've got messy text, messy underscore text, and this is equal to space 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 hello space 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 world space 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 space, right? Okay, maybe let's keep this one. Yeah, so you see all the space here, right? So first let's print this messy text as is, and you see how as we print it, it shows our empty space here, which we don't want. So Python again has a function or method you can use that will allow you to actually remove unnecessary or all these empty spaces that are not needed. So in your variable, all you can do is just call dot strip, and this will now remove all the unnecessary extra spaces. So if we run this again, you'll see how the spaces both sides have moved. So now both spaces on both sides, even though it's like that, have moved. So this is normally when you are dealing with your emails, right? So if someone has entered an email, you want to make sure that you don't add empty spaces when you're saving to the database or something like that. Maybe they mistakenly used the autofill, which adds an extra space at the end. So what this will do, you make sure you dot strip to remove any unnecessary spaces, and then only you publish or you push the data to your database. So this is the instances where you'd use dot strip. Yeah, I hope you do understand that part. If there's no questions, are there any questions? If there are, please pop them in the chat. If not, let's move on. So the next one we're going to use is one to find text. So this is for finding text. So let's say you've got a string and you want to look for certain text, right? So we'll have a string called sentence, right? And this string or this sentence, let's rather have it as Python is awesome. Okay, Python is awesome. Now if I wanted to find where let's say I want to find where is, okay, so we can do print sentence dot find, and now you'll add in the string as to where you are, what string you're looking for. So if we're looking for is and we print this, we get a number 7. So this now tells you the position where is starts. So it starts at position number 7. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So as you can see, it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and is starts at number 7. So again, think of this as a list. So it starts at position number 7, index number 7. That's what it returns there. So now if we want to look for something that is not in our string, we will get a -1. So let's do that and print sentence dot find, and let's say we want to find the word Java. We obviously know Java is not there, so if we get a value back as -1, then we know the word it does not exist or is not in our string. So as you can see, we got back -1 down here, 7 was the index for is, and we got back -1 here because it does not exist. Now the next part is, let's say we want to check how many times an actual character appears in our string. So we can do a print and do sentence dot count, and we can count how many times a certain character appears in our string. So let's check how many times we've got O. That should be 2 times, right? So let's run this and see. We got the number 2. So this is how you use these different methods that are available in Python. Are there any questions? Hi, Simphiwe, day 17, not posted. What was day 17 again? Oof. I'll have to check. I know I removed one of them because it was I think I had an issue. Yesterday was day 17, right? I think yesterday was day 17. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday was day 17, so I had to remove it because we didn't do anything. Or maybe I didn't. Okay, cool. Are there any questions? If not, let's move on. I thought there was someone sharing the live like crazy. Why? All right, cool. Let's move on. Now let's try and check if we can check what is inside text. Okay, so this will be us checking what's in text. Okay, so we'll have a text here, and our text will be hello. Hey, bye. Hello 1 2 3. Okay, so what we're gonna be doing now, it's gonna return a boolean. So what we're gonna check, mind me asking how you would then get the actual word. Mind me asking how you then get the actual word and not just the starting index of the word, or do I manually, or do I do it manually, i.e. I know it's 2 letters, therefore it's 2 indexes. I actually haven't tried that. I think there is one. I'll check for you just now. But cool. Let's quickly just do this. So here we've got checking what's in our text, right? So this will return boolean to let us know if it's there or not. So the first thing we want to check is, let's print to see if our text dot starts with something, right? So if we have function called starts with, let's say starts with hello. So obviously our text does start with hello, and this should return true. So if we run this, this has returned true. So I'm gonna just comment these out so that they don't run with whatever I'm running at the moment. So that's the reason why I was commenting them out, because I end up having a long thing. Cool. So you see it's returned. Okay, let's just do that. Okay, I was just commenting those out. So if we run this again, it's returned true because our text does start with the word hello, therefore it's true. And we can, there's another one called ends with, so you can do the same thing and do a print. Look, I already done print text dot ends with, and you want to check if it ends with 1 2 3, which should be true because it does end with 1 2 3. 1 2 3, therefore you got 2 truths that are returned. And then if you want to check if something is in a sentence, you can do this as well. So you can say print have a string there, say Python, and then you say in sentence. So this will check that if Python is in the sentence. Why are we saying sentence actually? Oh, sentence was one of the previous ones. So this is sentence here. So you're checking if Python is in that sentence, and if so, it will return true. And you can also check if something is in there and it's not there, it will obviously return false. So you can say print Java in sentence. So if it's obviously not there, it will return false. So if we run this, we get back false because Java is not in this sentence here at the top. We only have Python is awesome. Are there any questions related to this? If there aren't any, let's move on to the next part. The next part being us replacing text. So this one, we'll say replacing text. So let's say from the previous lessons, obviously people were loving JavaScript, right? So we can have a message, and this message will be called I love JavaScript. I love JavaScript, right? But now you want a new message because you've now changed lovers. You're no longer with JavaScript. You have changed lovers, so you can just do message dot replace. And what replace takes is it wants the word you are replacing at first. So the word we want to replace is JavaScript, and the word we want to replace it with is Python. Because we don't love JavaScript anymore, we now love Python. As you can see, what PyCharm shows us, there's our old, this is our new, and then you can just print your new message. If you print your new message, do I have new message up there somewhere? I don't. Re-declare new message. Yeah, I have new message somewhere. Message. I don't. Oh, sorry. I don't know why I imported that. Cool. So now we've got new message, right? So what this does, who loves JS? I don't know. Hence we're replacing it to now Python. So if we print this, it now prints I love Python, even though the first message was I love JavaScript. So it will now replace wherever it finds JavaScript with the word Python. That's what the dot replace does. That's how you can replace text. Then we can also split text. So let's say we want to split text into a list, basically, right? So here we'll have splitting text, and what we will have here firstly is a sentence, and this sentence will be apple, banana. We'll separate them by commas, banana and cherry. All right, so we've got the sentence. Where do we have sentence again? Here, let's comment that out. Cool, so we have the sentence, right? And we have the sentence called apple, banana, cherry. Now let's say we want to split this, but we want something we can use to show where we want to split each of these texts, right? So you can have a print statement, and what we want to print, first let's have our list. So we'll have a name, a variable name for our list of where we're splitting it to. So we'll split it to a variable list called fruits, right? Which will be equal to our sentence dot split, and what do you want to split it by? You put it in quotes, and we want to split by comma, right? Because we know they are split, or they are differentiated by the comma. So it's apple, comma, banana, comma, cherry, etc. And then if we print our fruits, and let's run that, we get a list of our fruits. So it's split it and put it in an array, and we can now print that array of fruits. So now it's split into apple, banana, cherry, right? Apple, banana, cherry. Another way you can do it is, instead of having to create a whole new variable, you can have something called words. Actually, why did you do that? You can have something called words, and the words we'll have is hello space world space Python. Okay, hello world Python. And what you can do in Python is you can just, outside of the string, just do a dot split and automatically split it there. So this will now split by a space because we don't have commas, or we didn't actually add anything. So this is split by the space, and if you print our words, we should get hello world Python in a list. So let's run that. So now we've got hello world Python in a list. Are there any questions? when you say do opposite, do you want to convert this list to a string? Is that what you're asking? Okay, so to convert this list to a string, or do you want to get the individual strings? Because obviously this is a list now, right? Python has its own, what to call this method called str, which will take whatever it gets and turn it into a string, right? So this is considered a string at the moment, even though it's listed as a array. So let me show you turning it into a string. Okay, go back. So you don't do dot split. No, you don't have to do dot split. You don't have to do dot split with quotes and what's this like this. Where's it? So it will automatically see that we're working with spaces and split it based on the spaces here. So now if we wanted to join this or do this into a list or into a string, right? You'd use dot join. Okay, so you already have your list, which is words. As you can see, it's like this. So all you do is you'll do a new variable, maybe we'll say words underscore list, and have join and dot join words. Then if we print this words list, we get this back as a string with all our words. Okay, so this was now a list words as is, and we've now turned it from a list back to a string. So another one you can do is if you've got no separator. So let's say we've got letters equal to, oh yeah, let's do whatever it gave us, A, B, C, D, whatever. So what you can do is you can have new word equal to no, so you're not going to add anything in there, and you will just say join and put the list in there, join letters. So if we print this new word, we'll get A, B, C, D, F, G put all together. So the entire list gets joined into a string. Hope we are together there. Cool. Let's move on. We're on lesson 3. We just done splitting text. Okay, now we'll do string slicing. So this is another interesting one. We're doing string slicing. So let's just comment this out so we don't have any prints that keep coming. Okay, so now we'll be doing string slicing. So let's say we want to get a part of a string, right? So let's just write it. How do you know when to use the punctuation marks? Are you talking about when to use comma? You'd obviously look at your list as how you're expecting your text. So you need to know what you're expecting. Oh, my battery. Thank you for that reminder. Where is it? Thank you for that. How do you know when to use? I don't know like exactly what you mean, but it depends on what you converting. So if you've got a list which has commas, obviously you want to split by commas, but if you've got dots, then you'll split by dots. So you'd use the dot to split. I hope you get me in that regard. And if you've got space, then you just put a space in there. Oh, that should return nothing. Okay, cool. So what we want to do now is string slicing. All right, so this is to help you get a part of a string, right? getting a part of a string. Okay, this will be a bit important, as slicing is a bit of a good thing to know or to learn as well. So let's say we've got a text here, and our text is Python programming. Cool. Do I have text up here somewhere? Okay, let's comment that out. Okay, so we've got a text Python programming. Okay, so we want to now maybe get the word Python. Okay, so this is where now you need to know your indexing of the word, right? So this starts at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So 0 to 5. Now the way we would slice this, so to get the word Python, is we'd write print and have our text, and then we add our array. So like we trying to access an array from index number 0 to index number 6, not 5. The reason we're doing 6 is because we're including 5 and it ends there. If we add it to index number 5, look what we get. Did I debug or what did I do? 7. So that's just another thing you should remember. So if we now run this one, we'd get Python, the full word. So index 0 to index 5, you just write index 0 to index 6, and now you've got the word Python. That's how you access a word when you know the actual knowing the actual indexing. But there's another way to access that as well. But let's say we want to get programming. So programming starts at, so obviously this was index 6, so this is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, right? So it ends at 17. So all you'll do here is you'll say print, and you do 7 to 18, since it ends at 17. And if you run this, you'll get programming. Now there's another way to actually get from the start, without knowing where the start is, to a certain end, right? So if we wanted to get Python, another way to get Python, we would say print and just have text, and you'll just put a colon and where you're ending. So you're obviously ending at index number 6, so you don't have to put where you start or where you're ending. And just like that, it will start with print and all the way till the end. So I'm not limiting you to stop somewhere, just go all the way to the end. And again, we get Python programming. So these are the exact same things, it's just how we use them. So you don't have to add 0, you don't have to add the ending index, you can just add the start, and it will end automatically wherever the string ends. Are there any questions? Any questions? If not, we are done with lesson 3. Let's move on to lesson 4. Answer any questions. If there are, just shout. So we're now moving on to lesson 4. Okay, lesson 4 is numbers in Python. Lesson 4 is numbers in Python. So floats are the doubles in, basically that's your floats in JavaScript. So what we can have here, we can have a variable or integer of age equal to 22. We can have a count equal to 0, and we'll have a temperature equal to -5. So another thing guys should notice, do you see how in Python we don't have to say var, val, it automatically knows, and you don't have to say it's an integer, you know, don't have to tell it that, hey, this is an integer. It automatically knows that, hey, that I'm working with an integer, I'm working with a boolean. It will know the types or the data types that have been assigned to it. So where's this thing now? I want to see. Okay, cool, let's continue. So this is your integers. So these ones here that we have up here, let's just write hashtag integers. These are what how to reassign data types. Then I want 5 as a string. Okay, so now if you wanted to reassign as a string, so if you look at this, I'm not a data analyst, so I'm not too sure. Gilchi. I'm not too sure. I won't lie to you. I'm not too sure. So if you wanted age to become a string, all you'll do is you'll say print a string or str and add age there. That's how you turn your integer to a string. So this becomes a string. So if maybe you wanted to say age string is equal to a string, right? So you could get the type and actually see that it is a string. So if we say type age string, if we run that, we get class of string. But if we just said type of age, we'd get class of int. So that's how you change it to a string or something else. I don't remember. I don't remember. 0, 1 boolean. Is it? I'm not too sure. Selby. We'll have to check that. We'll have to research that together. Okay, so that was that. We're not doing the string at the moment, but yeah. So those are integers, right? I hope you good, Falcon. So those are integers, and here we'll have floats. Okay, so those are your decimals. Maybe to remember, you can write numbers with decimals. Okay, and the numbers with decimals, you can have, for example, a price. A price would be a decimal, maybe 19.99 R. Height would be a decimal. What's in your temperature outside? Then these are now your floats. So these are regarded as floats. So how do we now work with these? Let's just do basic math operations. So the same way we did it in JavaScript, you can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, integer division, remainder, power. So let's do those quickly. So we'll just have addition, which is, we can just print 5 plus 3. 5 plus 3, that's our addition. If we run that, we get 8. So 5 plus 3 is 8. TikTok live stream, let's go live with the webcam. Yet my iPhone is not registering as a webcam, so I just switched it off. But I'm using Streamlabs. So I'm using Streamlabs to do my streaming. What did I do now? So yeah, addition, and if we have subtraction, we do the same thing. Print 5 minus 3, we get 2, and then we've got multiplication. Hashtag multiplication. 5 times 3, we get 15. So yeah, these are basic math operations. I just want to show you all the last ones. Here we've got print division. Hashtag division. Then we can print 5 divided by 3. What do we get? 1.6666666667, right? These are just, this gives us 3, so it gives us a whole number. 15 over I don't know how it exactly works there, but that's 3. But there's also one that gives you remainders, right? This is an important one, modulus. So you have hashtag remainder modulus. This one is a percentage sign. So this will give you the remainder of and the output, right? So here we get the remainder of 3. So 15 modulus 4 is 3. And we can also get power. And how do we get power? Power is obviously your 2 to the power of whatever. To get the power, we use double asterisk. So to get the power, we'll do print. Let's say we want the power of 2 to the power of 3. We say 2 asterisk 3. This will return to the power of. So that's 8. So 2 to the power of 3 is 8, right? So it gives us 8 there. So someone asked, is there an order of operation in Python? So Python follows the math rule of PEDMAS. According to this, PEDMAS. So what is it? What is it? PEDMAS. Not BODMAS. PEDMAS. Okay, so what PEDMAS is, it's parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So that's what PEDMAS is. It's your, where did this go now? It's parentheses, so the order of this is parentheses. Okay, I hope we're good there. Where were we for? That was our, oh yeah, that was order of operation. So let's see an example of that. So if we had a result equal to 2 plus 3 times 4. Hi Simphiwe. I don't know if it's me long, it looks too small for my side. Oh yes, it actually is. Sorry guys. Alright, so let's say we've got this. So what this would do first, it will do the multiplication first, components which we don't have, then it goes to multiply. If we do that, then only do addition, according to which is exponents multi division. My spelling. Division, addition, subtraction. Cool. So that's your PEDMAS. That's the order of operation. Yeah. Then if we had to use parentheses, let's do it again. Results. Here we'd say 2 plus 3 times 4. The same way, but this time let's add this in parentheses. So it will start with this first, then only move on to that. So if we print result, we should get 20 this time. So there we go. We got 20 as our answer. Any questions? If there are, please shout. If not, okay, we'll be moving. I'll just comment these out for now. Cool. Okay, then we've got assignment operations, right? So we've got this where we can assign and add. Let me put it like that. So let's say we had a variable called x, which is equal to 10. Now if we wanted to add 5 to this, one way we would do it is we'd say x is equal to x plus 5. So another way we could do it, which is an easier way, is we do x plus equals 5. So for your common and then you've got x divided equals 4, whatever. But this is basically you saying, here we'll say hashtag x is equal to x minus 3. Here we're saying x is equal to x times 2. And down here we're just saying x is equal to x divided by 4. That's those operations there. So this is just shortcuts to do these same operations. So obviously if you fill in the blanks, x is currently 10, so you're just saying 10 times 2, you're just saying 10 minus 3 times whatever, etc. So that's what we are doing there. So you can just print those, print x, and actually see what you get. So I'll just copy and paste this across the board. So it's 10 plus 5, right? Obviously, so this still gives you 15. Then you've got 10 minus oh, it's using that x. Why? Okay, it's fine, don't mind that. But oh yeah, because it's carrying on. Yeah, cool. Are there any questions? Are we getting this? Ba, 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 bum. Yes, no, maybe. Right, let's continue. All right, so let's move on to the next part. So let's say now we've got we want to do conversions of different types, right? So you will say converting between types. How long has this live been on? 1 hour 35. Okay, so this is converting between types. Someone did ask about this, so we are now here. So let's say we've got an age text, right? So let's say we've got an age in a string format. My age is 22 in a string format, right? But now we want this to be a number, so you can say age number. This is just a variable name. 3 years to this age. When we run it, it should say 25, which we did get. Then we know now, but that's that there. We needed to convert it, so we've got a number, and then we can start adding them together. So that's 25. That's how you convert a string to a number. But you can also convert again a string to a float. So float also has its own method. So you could have price text, which is 19.99 as a string, and then we can have price number, and this will now be an int, oh sorry, not int, a float of price text. So this will now change it to a float, and you can now print that. Maybe we want to times it by 2, and if we run that, we get a float, so 39.98. Are we good? Okay, cool. Then you can also do a number to a string, which we already did. Let's say we have score, right? So to do that, we can change this into a string. So we can have scores text or score string equal to str, and put in the score in there, and then we can now print maybe we can say your score is, and we have a plus score text. So this will now allow us to add the score text into our string. Are we good? Any questions? Right. What's our next part? Useful math functions. Okay, so there's also functions that you can use, like math functions, right? So firstly, let's maybe comment all this out for now. Okay, now what we want to do is we'll use the first one, which is called absolute value. What absolute value does, it removes the negative sign, right? So it removes negative sign. Now let's have an example. So if we had to print the absolute, so it's ABS, the way you write absolute, it's ABS, and of absolute of -5, that should give us 5 because we don't want the negative. So you see we got an answer of 5. And obviously an absolute of a positive number would still be the same. So if we print absolute of 3, we should still just get 3 because it didn't have a negative number anyway. So that's what the absolute value does. You also have functions to round off your numbers. So round numbers. And to be able to round your numbers, there's a function you can run called called round. So if we print and we have round and put in a float, which would be 3.7, it will round it off to 4, obviously, right? So if we run this, it gives us the value of 4 because it's rounded 3.7 to 4. But you can also round it off to maybe 2 decimal places if you want, to 3 decimal places. So to do that, you can still use print round. Let's say we have a number called pi, the number of pi. So we can say 3.14159 blah blah blah, and you put comma and how many decimal points you want to run to or round off to. So if we say 2 and we run this, then we just get 314. If we said 3, we get 3142. So it will now round off obviously 5 nearest 6, and then what this moves, something like that. I even forgot maths, guys. Yeah, something like that. So we get 3142. Okay, or is it because of 60, something like that? Yeah. Then we can also get a range of numbers in a list. So let's say we wanted to find the minimum and the maximum in a list of numbers. 7. Okay, cool. So we have these numbers, right? Let's say we wanted to get the maximum number, right? So to find the maximum, you just say print and you can say max and add in the list of numbers. So max, the list of numbers is 9. So this is the maximum in the list of numbers, and the minimum, print, you can just do min of numbers and you should get the minimum, which is 2, and you got 2 down there. And then the next one is a sum of all the numbers. So let's say you wanted to calculate all of the numbers, so you can do a print and say sum. So this will calculate all of the numbers and give you an answer of all the numbers in the list together. So if you say sum numbers, let's see what our numbers add up to. It adds up to 34. So those add up. Next one is working with user inputs. So for now, just hide these just so I've got more space when it comes to printing. Let's say we okay, won't work. Okay, so the user is to enter your age, right? So this will give the user an input to enter the age. Then we can just say age, next year. What age will they be next year? So we can have a variable called next year is equal to age plus 1. Okay, let's maybe just say user age plus 1. So already you can see we're getting an error here, integer. So this is not something next year. So this is not something we can do. So for us to now be able to do that, what we can do is, okay, let's just comment that out so you can see what won't work and see what will work. This works. So now for you to do that, you can have age text, because you know it's a string, and have that input from the user of okay, yeah, doesn't matter. What's your age also works. It also done it for me. And then we now have a variable called age, where we now convert whatever we got from the user, which is a string, into an integer. So we say int and we put in the age text, which is a string. Then only we can now use the next, we can say next age or next year is equal to age plus 1. next year is equal to age plus 1. String of next year. Remember, now we got this as now an integer, right? Age plus 1 is now an integer. So now we need to convert this next year back into a string. Then we can concatenate it here and use it. Hence why we've got string, then putting next year. Yeah. So now if we run this, what's my age? I'll give it my age of 22. If I click enter, it says next year you'll be 23 years old. So it now do the addition and assign it to next year. Then we change that back into a string so we can display it to the user. That's basically what we did, which is number modulus 2, because we'll get the remainder of 7 using modulus 2, right? 2 of a number returns 0, then we have an even number. But if it returns a number, therefore it's an odd number because we've got a remainder. So we just check if remainder is equal to 0. So this is Python syntax. You don't add your brackets like we did in we don't add our brackets like we did in JavaScript. So these are useless. As you can see, it says remove redundant parentheses. Important thing here, when you click on enter, you need to make sure the space is there. The tab must be there, because you need to, if there's no indentation here, let's say I added one space and I say print what does it work now? Okay, let's put it like that. So you see it's asking here, indent expected. It expects an indentation. So for it to know that it's now in the function, you need to just go to the start and click on tab. That will indent your line of code. Then you can print whatever. So here we'll be printing string number is even. It's even. So now that's how we know it's even. But now if we want to now check for the odd, we just say else colon. So here we don't do the curly braces, it's just colon. So it's your if, your condition, colon, and whatever needs to be returned, and then else colon, again make sure indentation is there. Then you can say print string number plus double quotes is odd. So all this is doing now, it's basically if whatever we get in our remainder is a number basically. So if it's not equal to 0 and it is a number, then we know that it's odd. But if it's equal to 0, then we know it's even. Do we understand the modulus operator? Do we understand? Let's run this and see. So we see 7 is odd, but if we put 8 and run this, 8 is even because the remainder of 8 is 0. So if we just also print the remainder, just so you can see what the remainder is, see the remainder is 0. But if we put 7, what's the remainder of 7 over 2? It's 1. So we know, since we got a number of 1, 7 is odd. Okay, any questions? Overload. That's the end of lesson 6. Do you guys want us to move? What's 7? 7 is string operators. Okay, string operators is quite short. We already did it. Okay guys, just let me know. Do you want to move on to 7? Let's move on. Okay. Hey, we're already almost done. Crazy. Okay, perfect. Okay, so lesson 7 is string operators. Okay, so we're done here. So let's move to a new file. So new file, this is lesson 7. Huh? Where's 5? Did I put everything in 1? Guys, you didn't even tell me. Everything, lesson 4 has lesson 5 and 6. Math operators, where did we start? We started with okay, it's fine. We added lesson 5 and 6 in lesson 4. So sorry about that. We'll just fix that. Right, let's move on to lesson 7. Lesson 7 is math operators. Look, now I'm saying, you see now, lesson 7 is string operators. So we just did that actually in lesson 2. Why is it the same? Was it lesson 2 or 3? Yeah, we did it here. We did these already. Why are we doing these again? Let me check FNB's thingy. App Academy email. Because now it's confusing me. Week 7. Lesson 2, lesson 4, lesson 5 is variables. Lesson 6, operators and numeric. Lesson 7, operating. Lesson 6, operators on numeric data, operators on strings. Okay, we did that, so I feel like we can even move to lesson 8, because I'm literally gonna repeat the same thing. Okay, let's ignore lesson 7, because it's exactly the same as what we did here. This exact thing here. This exact same thing here. So lesson 8 is control statements. Yeah, let's move to 8. Sorry guys. How do you commit? But here you've got this version control. So firstly, your project needs to be on Git first. So if on Git, then only you'll see on the side here, you'll see, yeah, there's commit. So you'll see commit here to 8. So we can just rename this to 8. Lesson 8. And this is our control statement. So control statements is basically making decisions with if statements. Okay, again, this is something we've learned, we just going through the syntax over in Python. So firstly, what are if statements? Again, if statements let your programs make your program make decisions. So they run code only when something is true. So if something is not true, then it will not run. So that's what the if statements are. So let's do a quick age check, right? Age check. So if you are over, what's the age limit for voting? If you are over 18, right? So we'll have an age of 18, right? And then if we say if age is greater or equal to 18, then, so you put colon, then you can print you are old enough. I don't know why I done that. Does it say you can vote? Print. Okay, it doesn't do the next one. You can vote. Cool. So if you are 18, you're now old enough, you can vote. And then if we don't have anything else, if we have something outside of the print, you can just print here to say this will always print. This will only print if this, oh, sorry guys, zooming in. I keep forgetting. Okay, there we go. Great. To zoom. Oh yeah, we've zoomed. So obviously if your age is greater or equal to 18, then only this will be executed, but other than that nothing else will be. But this will print no matter what, whether you are 18 or 16, this will always print. So if we run this, we get you are old enough, you can vote. This always prints, right? So of the code block inside. So here we've got an indentation of 4 space. You see, as I was doing my thing, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how much the indentation is. It's 4 spaces. So 1 tab for print again. Just go at the start of the code and press on tab. Then that will indent for you. So if maybe you wanted, you could just do the 4 spaces. That's basically still your tab. Cool. That's just a basic, right? Now let's create another basic if statement. Let's keep that there. Let's have another basic if statement. We'll use this for checking temperature, right? So we'll have a variable called temperature, which is equal to 75. And then we're gonna now check if our temperature is greater than 70, then we print it's warm outside. Cool. So that's just the basic if statement. It just checks if our temperature is greater than 70, then it will print it's warm outside. We can have another one of score equal to 95, and then we want to now check if your score is greater or equal to 90, then we can print a nice message, say excellent grade is like correct, or if we're looking for a person, so we can have a name of John. So if the name is equal to John, then we print hello John. So these are basic if statements, right? This is just to show you basic if statements. So it just checks, and if only that is true, then only will the text never be executed. So let's just run these. So we see we do get it's warm outside because obviously 75 is greater than 70, and we get excellent grade because 95 is greater than 90. Then we get hello John because obviously the name is equal to John. So these were different ways to check. Now we will do else statements, right? So now we want to do to check or to have a fallback if something is not true, but we want to question. Okay, I don't see any questions. Cool, let's move on to the else. Again, this is what we did in JavaScript, just a new syntax, which is still similar but the same. Thank you so much, Lindo, for the hot me. Cool. So now let's do just comment. Okay, no, it's fine. I'll keep them running. It's fine. So now let's do else statements. We'll have an age here, new age, equal to 16, right? Remember we done an if up there. So if the age is greater than 18, greater or equal to 18, then only we print you can vote, right? But now we want to have a condition where someone is not 18. So we tell them, so we'll have an else to say else, then we print you cannot vote yet. So this is just a simple if statement to check if the age is greater than 16, then execute this, but if not, fall back to executing this, because we know they are not of correct age, meaning they don't fit the condition we are looking for. If we run this, you see we get down there, you cannot vote yet. So we do get you cannot vote yet because the age is 16. If we had to put 64, obviously the person can vote, so we get back you can vote. That's your if and else statements. Okay, now there's another one that we did in JavaScript called else if, but in Python it's called something else. So let's use an example of a score, right? So let's say someone scored America, maybe they'll say 90 plus is A, 80 plus is B, 70 plus is C, 60 plus is D. Anything other than that is an F, is a fail, right? So how do we do that? We can do if score is greater or equal to 90, then we print grade I'm saying grace now, grade A. Perfect. But now we want to check, okay, if not, what else could they have? To do this, we say L if, not else if, but L if, ELIF, just L if. So this is your else if, the same way we'd have it in JavaScript, L if. Then you say L if score is greater or equal to 80, right? If so, then they gotta print grade B. the grade that they got is a B. And I guess you do another else if. Look, now I'm writing else. It's L if. L if score is greater or equal to 70, then that means they got a C. And then L if the score is 60, then they got a D. But now else, because there's no other grades we're looking for, then else you get an F. So if anything below 60, you get an F. So if we run this, we get the grade B because they got 85, right? Oh yes, yeah, because they got 85, which would mean it checks between 80 and 90 for you to get to grade B. Then 90 above is grade A. So 70 to 80 is B. We got a D. So this is greater, so we got a D. But if we got less than 60, maybe just to 59, then we got an F, meaning we failed. So this is your else if. This is how you do your multiple conditions in Python. Any questions? I believe not, because it's quiet. Okay, let's move on. Now the next one is logical operators. So combining conditions with and, or not. So here in Python, we can write none. Okay. Here in Python, we can actually write actual words, which will be our conditions. So you remember in JavaScript, okay, let's move on. Remember in JavaScript, we had, if we, let's say we had age equal to 20 and has underscore license, what guess, has license is equal to true. Then if we wanted to check if a person has both of these done together, right? In JavaScript, what we'll do is say if age greater or equal to 18 and has license. That's what we would do in JavaScript. Then we do that, right? Then we do that. But since we are in Python, you don't have to put these symbols to do and. Obviously, this is also not necessary anymore. So we can remove that. And what you do in Python, you write the actual word and. So you just say and there you go. You've got your expression or your condition. So this will now check if the age is greater or equal to 18 and has a license. So if both of them are met, then you can print you can drive. So this is your logical operators. So this is the ones where you've got and, or, and not, right? So not, remember in JavaScript was when we done the exclamation mark. So that was your not. But let's say we wanted an or, so we can have days equal to Saturday. Days equal to Saturday. Then we can check if day is equal to Saturday. If day is equal to Saturday, or day is equal to Sunday, or is holiday. I didn't even write is holiday. So let's quickly have that is holiday true. So, we'll have it as false actually. So what this will now do, we're now checking if our day is equal to Saturday, or if the day is equal to Sunday, or if we have a holiday, then we print that we have no work today. So this is your or in Python. So you can just do an condition or another condition or another condition. So this will print no work today if either or of these conditions are met. So if both of them are met, one of them are met, but as long as one of them are met, then yeah, so basically at least one condition must be met for this to run. Then you can have not. So this is opposite of the condition. So let's say we have one called is raining, right? Let's say it's equal to false. Now what we can do is we can say if not, meaning the opposite, is raining. If not is raining, remember in JavaScript what we would have done is we'd put an exclamation mark. We'd say exclamation mark is raining, then that's the not. But here we write is if not is raining, then we can print to say good day for a walk. So what this basically means is we want the opposite. So if obviously this is false, it's obviously not true. Therefore, oh, if it's false, then are you familiar with Alteryx design? No, don't even know what that is. First time hearing that. Yeah, so you're just checking that you want the opposite. So if it was true, if not is raining, then it's a good day for walk. So currently it's false, right? So you want the opposite. And since you're putting the opposite, then that makes it true because it's not true at the moment. So you making it true, therefore we get good day for walk. Are there any questions related to this? Yes, this is case sensitive. So you see, it is case sensitive. Please make sure you write it correctly because it will not see what it is. Okay, let's continue. There's no other, if there's no other questions, just pop question if you do have one. If not, we're continuing. The next one is nested if statements. So nested if statements is basically saying an if statement in an if statement, right? So let's have an example. So what we'll do here is we'll have a nested if statement. So we'll first check if our weather is equal to sunny, then we print that it's sunny, right? So we'll print it is sunny. But then we also want to now check if it is sunny, then now let's check our temperature. If our temperature is greater than 70, then we print that this is the perfect weather for a beach, as an example. Alright, and if not, you can just do an else to say, okay, Sunday is a bit cool, right? Why am I saying Sunday? Sunny but a bit cool. So it's basically sunny but a bit cool. It's not like that hot because we're not on a temperature of over 70. Right, so you can just print to have sunny but a bit cool. So this is now having a if statement within an if statement, right? An if statement within an if statement. And then you can now have an else outside of the initial if statement, where you can just say it's not sunny today. And that's how you have a nested if statement. So that's your first if statement, then you've got another if statement inside of it, and you just end off with the else of the initial first if statement. Any questions on that? And All right, how do we do that? So let's say we'll mark a user input here, right? So we'll just say user input is equal to yes. Okay, user input is equal to yes. But now we want to check multiple. It's gonna be a long catch up. Ish. But this is the better part because you've already done JavaScript. As long as you catch up before we do Django, because I feel like, yeah, if you miss some Django, it might be a bit hard. So as long as you can catch up here, you should be fine. This is just learning syntax, in all honesty. You guys already done this. All right, so we're marking user input to be yes, right? But now we want to check multiple values of this user input. So let's say we're checking if user input is equal to yes, right? Or now we want to check if user input is equal to y, or we're checking if user input so now you're checking if user input is equal to yes, then you can now print you said yes. So this is just you checking multiple values, so you are able to work with multiple values. And yeah, then another thing you can also do is you can have an if user input dot lower. So remember we learned lower of turning it into lower cases. So this is just to make everything lowercase, so you know you're not worrying that maybe they added a capital E and you just checking for small letter e, you know, as an example. So you can just say equal to yes, or because you've lowercased everything. So if they put it in caps, then you've lowercased it for them, right? So if you print this one, she said yes. Oh, you said yes. You said, why am I saying she said yes? Who's she? You said yes. You said yes. Yeah, that works, right? So that's now checking multiple values. Then there's the last one, the range checker. Okay, checking within a range. And let's see how we do that. So we can have a variable of age range, which is equal to 25, right? Now we're gonna check if age range is greater or equal to 13 and age range is less than or equal to 19. So what this is doing is basically now checking between this range of numbers from 13 to 19 to see if you get that, then you print you are a teenager. So obviously someone from 13 to 19 is a teenager. And then there is another way, this way. So I'll show you that in the next line. So let's have that. So Python has a cool way to check ranges. If you did maths, you're gonna see how similar it looks to maths. So you can do if 13 less or equal to age range, and then less or equal to 19. Look, you see I'm lying. So if you remember maths, this would be your x whatever. I just remember those things. If age range, so it's just the easier way to write it. You see how it's underlining this way because it's telling 13, then you would have your x there, then you'd have 19. I think that's how you have it in maths, ne? Something like that. I think it was like that in maths. But yeah, that's basically what we have there. Then obviously we'll have the same thing, print a teenager. And yeah, that's how you check your ranges. So this is the old way, or a much longer way, but this is a more simplified way of this same way. This is exactly the same thing, just a simplified way. So it's just checking a range between these two. Any questions on this? If not, I wanted to quickly do a quick validation checker we can write. So let's say we've got an email, and our email is user at example.com. So what you could do to check if an email is valid, let's say you're expecting at as well as you're expecting full a dot, right? .com, whatever. So you can have an if you've got an at in email and you've got a dot in email, then you can print to say email looks valid. And then if you don't get that, then obviously invalid email format. Email doesn't look valid. So this is just something you can, basically from what we've learned, you can now check whatever is in email if it's there, if at is there and dot is there, meaning you want to check if both of them are there at the same time, then you can say, okay, your email looks a bit valid. Then if not, definitely your email is not valid because it does not contain those two. Cool. Are there any questions? That's it for lesson 8. Are there any questions? No, regex is coming. How long is this one? Okay, this is a lot. I think I'm ending it here. So tomorrow we can start at 9, 10, 11, then do Django. Nah. Okay, how much does this have? Lesson. Am I tweaking? Lesson 9, control statement parts 2. Yeah. Yes, you can. So if you had email as that, you can do email is equal to now Simphiwe at example.com. Yeah, that's how you reassign. I just want to see what they put for part 2. Okay, enter number. Num is greater than. Man, we did all of these things. These lessons are just dragging, guys, in all honesty. Control statements part 2. That's. Like, we literally did this. If I had to show you all this. Just to take it back a little, so the Elif is positioned between the if and else. So your else if is basically in between your if and else. It's the same way you had it in JavaScript, where you had your if, then you had else if, and then you ended off with else. So it's the exact same. It's just the way we write it in Python is elif. That's the only difference. But the logic is exactly the same. Guys, I think even lesson 9, we don't have to do. We did more than. Yes, there also is a switch case in Python as well. I'll try and show you all that as well. I'm just thinking what we're doing now for lesson 9 is exactly the same as lesson 8. What's lesson 10? Lesson 10 is loops, right? Let me show you just one loop. I don't want to do the whole thing out, but I'd rather we start with the loops tomorrow, and then we can move on to Django. Okay, We skipping lesson 9. It's exactly what we did. Let me even show you guys what was done in lesson 9. So if you check here, this is what was done this already. Not exactly this, but basically this. So there's no need for us to actually do lesson 9. This is... Yes, I am Falcon. I think it was a drag for real. I think they were dragging it. Let's move on to lesson 10. Lesson 10 is loops, right? Let me see what loops they did here. They done a for loop, while loop. That's all. Okay. Let's do those actually. Even let's see lesson 11 part 2. What loops did they do? I feel like I went overboard actually. Compared to what was done. I might have went overboard. For loops, pause, continue, while, breaks. Alright. I'm thinking of doing loops now actually. By looking at what they were doing there, I think we can do loops now. So let's just jump straight to lesson 10. This is our loops. Yeah. So firstly, let's understand what loops are. What are our loops? Loops are basically they let you repeat code without having to write it multiple times. So when you look at a loop, an example is, let's say we have this. We wanted to write hello 1 2 3 4 5 6 times, right? But if we had to write it manually, we'd say hello, what is it? Hello 1, hello 2, hello. You don't have to write this, guys. Hello 3, hello 4, hello 5, hello 6. So you see, having to type this manually, already this is a lot of code, and it's pointless for us to be. We shouldn't be writing a lot of code ourselves. We basically not following the dry principle. Don't repeat yourself, right? So there's a principle in programming, dry principle, which is don't repeat yourself. So instead of having to now write print 1, print 2, print 3, there's something called loops that will allow us to do that quicker and more efficiently. So how do we do this? We've got something called a for loop, right? For loop, we learned it again in what do you call this thing in JavaScript, is a range loop, right? So we can do for I in range. Sorry to bother. Hi bro, sorry to disturb, but I am a student that is catching up. But is get up important? Yes, very important, very very important. Please try and get it, but it is important, at least if you understand it and you are able to push to get up. It's quite important. Cool. Is we want you to loop until a certain range, right? So we want you to loop from 1 until 6. So this is obviously going to stop at 5, right? Because the way the loops work, same way we had our slicing, it will not end at 6, it will end at the number before whatever you added here. So if you wanted to end at 5, you put a 6. If you wanted to end at 6, you put a 7. So this will loop 7 times. It will loop from 1 to, sorry, it will loop 5 times. So it will loop from 1 till 5. So what it's basically saying, it's saying for I is now your iterator. I is your iterator. So iterator is basically you saying whatever number of the loop I'm on, that's my iterator. So for iterate for number, whatever you want. So you could say for number in range, whatever. So it will loop that many times, and number will keep changing on whatever iterator it's currently on. So the or standard, normally people just put I. So what we want to now do is obviously print the hello world 5 times, right? So we'll say print hello, then you have a space plus string I is your iterator, but remember it's an integer, right? So we need to convert it to a string. So what's going to happen here, it's going to loop 5 times and print. So it's going to do loop 1, do the print, this will obviously become 1, then it goes to loop 2, do the print, this is obviously 2, loop 3, loop 4, loop 5 till it ends. So it prints until a certain range. So if we run this, there we go, we've got hello 1, hello 2, hello 3, hello 4, hello 5. It stopped at 5. So there's 2 lines of code how the for loop works, right? So the most common way to repeat maybe a countdown. So let me show you different ones. So let's say we wanted to do a range the same way we did it here, but maybe a range of counting from 0 to 5, right? So to count from 0 to 5, again, we can do a for I in range, and you can just say 6, not range, and you can just say 6, right? Then you print the iterator. So this will now, oh, don't forget your semicolon. Then you print, so it counts from 0 because we didn't start it at 1 like we did here. So if again we did this, it will start at 1. So if you run that, you see it's now 1 2 3 4 5. But if you don't have anything, it will just range it from 0 until the end of that number. Yeah, any questions related to these two so far? If not, let's look at another one. There's another one we've got that's called a stepper, or by a step, right? So what we do here is, let's say we wanted to count in a range of, or wanted to count by 2s. So you could have a for loop for I in range, can print I. So this will now print in 2s. So it will go 2. Okay, maybe let's hide this one for now so it doesn't confuse us. So we've got 0 2 4 6 8 10 range if you are doing a for loop, right? So if you wanted it to move in 4s, again, like just put 4, so it's 0 4 8 etc. Any questions related to this? Let me just put it here. This is your steps, this is your range, from 0 to 5. Okay, yeah. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, then we also have one that does a countdown, right? So let's say we wanted to count in the numbers backwards, right? So this we'll call it countdown, and we can do for I in range, 10 to 0. So now obviously this is backwards, right? From 10 to 0. None. Next loop. Okay, from 10 to 0. Then our step would now be -1 because we are reversing it. Same way we had in our list where we wanted to get the last, we use -1 to reverse it. And if we print our I, then maybe outside of our loop we can print blast off because it's a countdown, just fun. Blast off. So if we run this, this will go 10 9 8 7 6 5 4 3 2 1, blast off. So it will do the entire loop. Only when the loop ends, then only it will print blast off. You don't have to have that, but that's just because we did a countdown there. That's the reason why I added it there. So that's how you loop backwards. Do I even remember? But that's a good question, a very, very good question. Let's see. print okay, so we can do for I in range, let's say we wanted 5. For I in range 5, so that'll be 0 1 2 3 with a space. Then we've got it working as one line. We're at loops. Oh yeah, so now we're doing loops of strings, right? So if we wanted to loop strings, or not loop strings, but rather loop each character in a string. So to do that, we'd set a variable of a word, maybe Python, and then the next thing we do is have another for loop. So remember, like I said, your I is your iterator, but here you could name it whatever you want. So if we're working, obviously we want to get individual letters in this list of, or in this word. So you could name it letter because you'd be getting a letter, and you'd say letter in word, and you want to print each letter. So here we'll just print it one line after the other. That's autocomplete. And if we run that, that prints, ooh, that's still there. Okay, so we've got the word Python printed one after the other. So it now loops in this word and prints each letter in the word. Yeah, so it's just a for loop within the string. So it loops through each character of the string. What was the other one? Looping a list. Wait, are there any questions so far? Any questions? Besides Bao, if Bao is still here. Are there any other questions? Alright, let's continue. If I see it, I'll answer. Okay, so now let's loop into list, right? So for us to do that, we've got, sorry, we'll create a list of fruits. We'll have apple, banana, cherry. So if we want to get each fruit in this list, again, just do for fruit. Because it's a list, we've named it fruits, which is plural. And now we're getting each fruit, which would be singular. So you'd have fruit for fruit in fruits. And then you can print that you like whatever. So you can either print fruit or print a sentence. So I'll just print I like plus fruit. So this will now loop and print I like each fruit. So if you run that, I like apple, I like banana, I like cherry. That's now looping in this list and printing each fruit in the list. No questions? Okay, let's do the next one. The next loop we'll have is a while loop, right? So this is a repeated code while a condition is true. So until the condition becomes false, then only will the loop stop. So one we can have is an example, counting to 5. The F strings. Okay. Yeah, we'll get there. We're not. Are we there? No, we actually passed that. I actually skipped that. Okay, yeah, I'll show them that as well. So this is a while loop, right? Counting from 1. or counting to 5, right? So we can have some code to work while that is false until it's true, right? Or true until it's false. So what we're doing is we're first gonna print. We're gonna print that count plus string count. So this is us converting the count into a string so that we can concatenate and print it, right? So we're just going to print that the count we're currently on is count maybe 1, then count 2, count 3, count 4, count 5, etc. And another thing, this thing is just going ahead of me. Another thing we have to do is we obviously have to now update this variable, right? So currently the variable is at 1, and if we had to run this, it will run as well. Count 1 is less than 5, which will run, but it will stay there, so on and so forth, because it stayed at 1, but it's not changing. Like, we're not updating it to become 2, 3, 4, 5. So how do we do that? Firstly, you can have count is equal to count plus 1, which is a long way of writing it, right? You can have count is equal to count plus, because what you're saying is you're not assigning count, and you're saying whatever count we're on plus 1. Then it changes your count to whatever you've got there. So it will be count plus 1. So it will be 1 plus 1, which is 2. Then the next part, 2 will be equal to 2 plus 1, which is 3, so on and so forth, equal to 1. What we learned in the previous lessons. So this is just you see I don't know if it's this. I hope I didn't install it now. I don't know how to remove it, man. I'll check it. But I don't even have what's this Copilot installed here. It's a fresh install of PyCharm, and it was already there. So yeah, that's basically what we have. Teboho, what you saying? Talk about what? Yeah, basically that's that. So what's gonna happen? It's going to start at 1. The count is less or equal to 5, right? Which is true. And then it prints, then it adds 1. Count is still less or equal to 5, which is true. Then it will move to 2, 3, 4. As soon as it's now 5, now that becomes false, and your entire loop stops, right? So let's run that and see. So there we go. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and our loop stopped after 5. That is the while loop. Another one you can do is you can keep asking until some. So let's try and do one where we ask a user the password, right? So we can have password as an empty variable, which is just password, and we can say while our password is not equal to our secret password. So let's say our password is cheese. Okay, so while this is true, it will keep looping. So what we'll do is we'll ask the user to enter the password, and then only when it's correct, then only will the loop end. So first we'll say if password is not equal to cheese, and then we print that the password is wrong, right? They can try again, right? So what's happening here is we're going to ask the user to input the password, and then if the password that they enter is not cheese, we print out wrong password, and it's obviously going to loop again. Then only when we get the right password of cheese, then that means the condition is now false, right? Yeah, false. Then the loop ends and we print access. Oh, welcome. Yeah, that's fine. This thing, but welcome cheese. It'll say welcome cheese, but no, let's not do that. Welcome. So let's run that. So as you can see, it asked us to enter password down here. Let's enter which is incorrect, so it makes us try again. Say you, me, chi, and cheese. Only when we get the correct password, then only will the loop end. So this is just a way of asking again and again until you get the answer you're looking for. Yeah, that is your while loops. And then another way is you can also break So we're doing what's this comparison check, right? So we're checking if our password is not equal to cheese. I think you can write it as well if I'm not mistaken. No, you can't. I don't even remember. You see, you can't. So not also doesn't work because it's you see, not does not work as well. But I remember, I think you can write it somewhere. I even forgot, guys. Nothing can tell, but yeah. We're doing a comparison check here. So we're checking if our opacity is not equal to something. Hence why I've used. Okay, what is that? Someone subscribed. Thank you for subscribing, Bedley. Yes, yes, yeah. I think it's not, ne? Not. Is not. Oh yes. Yes, yes. Oh, you see? There's the professional there. So you can use is not. Yes, there's a pro there. Is not works same as using not equals to. Thank you for that, Bao. Guys, can I end it here? Like, I'm so tired. The next part is the next part here is lesson 11, advanced loops, and obviously then we move on to Django, the start of Django. But yes, I think that's it from me, guys, for today. We'll end it here. Tomorrow we'll start with lesson 11, advanced loops, and then we start Django, hopefully. Yes, it's a lot. It is a lot. It's a lot. And I have work tomorrow. Oh, it's actually 3 hours, guys. 2 hours 51 minutes. It's basically 3 hours. Just make sure everyone knows that with while loop there must be some sort of break, otherwise they'll be stuck there forever. Oh yes, yes, yes. Thank you for that. That's true. So with your while loop, it will go on forever and ever. So you need to make sure you do have some sort of break which will break the loop at some point. So uh as an example, you see here, the only reason it breaks is because our input is gets there. But now if this even here, if we don't have a check that it's equal to 5, we can loop it for eternity. Yeah, it's going to just loop forever. So you just need to make sure you have some sort of break. I know the breaks was part of the advanced loops. Yeah, cool, guys. Thank you for joining. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. tomorrow, 8 p.m. What time do you start live? Yes, I start my live at 8 p.m. If it's not 8 p.m., it usually starts like at 12. Other than that, that's it from me. Shall see you guys tomorrow. Where's my Streamlabs? Academies, they